Hi everybody, Dan Illman here with some exciting news. DRF Formulator, the gold standard in past performance information, is now free, exclusively on DRF Bets. Join DRF Bets with the promo code WINNING, get a $250 first deposit match bonus, a $10 free bet, and free Formulator already uploaded to your account. Access Formulator's premium features, including sortable trainer stats, race replays, personalized trip notes, and lots more. Free Formulator, exclusively on DRF Bets. Hi everybody, Dan Illman and Mike Beer, the DRF race of the day for Friday, January the 28th. Race number 8 at Oaklawn Park. Let's throw up the field for an extremely competitive allowance race at 1 1/16. $102,000 is the purse. You can download free Formulator past performances on the Race of the Day event page at DRF.com. Access them, handicap along with us. When you've made your final determinations, you can play this race and the entire card at Oaklawn Park on Friday with your DRF Bets account. Mike, I had a lot of trouble in this race. You've got some quality horses dropping in class. You also have some horses in here that might not have lived up to their complete potential.
Yeah, it's a tough race. Very, very competitive. I feel like, maybe more than anything else, Dan, and listen, maybe it'll just chalk out here with some of these, stakes quality horses taking at least some class relief here. Maybe one of them will win, but I wanted a price.
Well, let's take a look at the time form U.S. pace projector, because I agree with you. I think this is a race where you're supposed to look for value. Fact finding is 8-1 on the morning line, and this is a horse with excellent early speed, coming off of a victory where he just beat 3 of these common foes. Maybe he can get to the front once again. I just have a feeling he's going to take some money.
Yeah, I agree with that. He was stretching out for that race last time. He was 15-1 in just his second start for Diodoro off the claim. I mean, listen, maybe he just goes to the front again, Dan, and wires this field. I think it's going to be way harder for him to do that, especially with the 11 Warriors charging here. I mean, he's just a fast horse with an outside draw. It just feels like he has to go.
And if those two cook things up on the front end, it can set things up nicely for a very logical horse on paper. The number 1, Shared Sense. This is a multiple graded stakes winner who hasn't been an allowance company since 2020, and he just happened to catch Art Collector, a future grade 1 stakes winner, I believe, that day. He fits on figures, he fits on class, and he might get the right setup. He's 7-2 on the morning line. That's fair. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 2-1 at post.
Yeah, we'll see how much money he takes. I wouldn't take too short a price on him for sure. That doesn't mean that he can't win here. Listen, he was an okay 3-year-old. Never really got much accomplished last year with only 4 starts under his belt. I guess he ran fine in some of those races. His Tenacious last time, he tried to come widest to the stretch in there, but, he was basically on even terms with the winner, Dan, through the upper stretch. And he just got outfinished by that horse. I thought he ran fine, but he didn't do anything that would make me want to bet him back. And here, this is a tough race.
A horse I want to use is the number 2, MOSA, who I think might be dirtied up a little bit for trainer Michael Maker. The last time this horse raced with Lasix, he won the grade 3 Steve Sexton Mile, albeit over a sloppy track. Since then, he's been in some tough spots against Express Train in the San Diego Handicap, Ginobili in the Pat O'Brien, and last time out in a wide-open edition of the ACAC. I like the layoff. I think he benefits from the break, and he just fits well with these horses.
I agree. His best race is going to make him tough, and I could certainly use him at a big price in this race. I guess we'll just see where he is from a form standpoint, Dan. I could easily make excuses for some of his recent races. That being said, I don't love the fact that he was vanned off the last time we see him. I guess if he comes back and runs one of his good ones, he's a pretty strong contender in here, and he should be a price.
He did bleed that day in the ACAC racing without Lasix. Lasix on again, bullet workout 10 days ago, but point well taken. It'll be interesting to see what we get from a fitness standpoint. ALLEGE, the number 3, is sharp for trainer Steve Asmussen. Let's watch his most recent start at Oaklawn on New Year's Day over a sloppy track. We see him get to the outside in here, and he's going to grind this field down. Now, I'm not sure about the quality of competition he beat. I like the way he did it. He just seemed like he was staying on at the end of this race, and is a horse that seems adaptable from a pace standpoint.
I agree. I think he can get a good trip in here. Obviously, he's not beating, a great field here in this race that we're watching, and he is stepping way up in class for this. I like the way that he won that race too, though, Dan. To me, that's the kind of performance where if he had just, stayed on at the end and got up for a good second, I would say, you know what, that horse ran really well in there. Just the fact that he won it, I think, is an extra feather in his cap. And I like him, sort of getting back to some of these shorter distances now. I know that he broke his maiden. They run that 1.25-mile race at Churchill for 3-year-olds. It feels like only slow horses run in those races, and that's where he broke his maiden. And after that, it was weird. 2 turf races. They kept him going long a couple of times. I don't know. I think he's better going shorter, and he's got tactical speed.
The 4 is OLLIEMYBOY, and we have a formulator fact for trainer Rob Atras, who's based in New York. He's been doing very well over the last month on dirt, 33% winners, a $2.38 return on investment. And I wonder if his charge, the 4 OLLIEMYBOY, is slowly racing himself back into shape. This is going to be his 3rd run since the summer. And last time out, he was just overmatched in the Queens County, wasn't he? He did finish ahead of a horse that came back, dropped in class at Parks, and scored with a 92 buyer.
Yeah, I don't know if I feel like he was overmatched last time. I actually bet him in the Queens County. I thought that was a pretty good spot for him. And, listen, at the end of the day, he basically was in the same position as the winner all the way around the track, got out-kicked by that horse. Of course, the winner was, 40-something to 1 in there. I don't know. I still thought he ran okay, Dan. I really liked this horse when they finally moved him to dirt early last year. Those first 3 starts at the fairgrounds, I thought he had a lot of potential at that point, and I'm hoping that at some point he can get back to start building on those races, because I think he's a player in here if he does.
Beaver had earned a stakes placing at Ellis Park going a mile over the summer, and since then it just hasn't worked out for him. He's finished behind a couple of these horses. To me, he's the kind of horse that needs a lot of things to go his way from a pace and trip standpoint, and maybe needs 1 or 2 to stub their toes, although I hate to knock him too much. He's going to be a giant price.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I mean, he is going to be a big price. So if you like him, you're just supposed to bet him. And he does have good tactical speed. I mean, I can see him getting the right trip in this race. I just couldn't convince myself that he was good enough.
In a race with several question marks, maybe the way to go is to take the sharp pace setter. The 6 fact finding, even with Warriors charging here, is expected to make the lead. And let's watch his last start. As Mike mentioned, first off the Diodoro Claim, he handled a few of these rivals going the mile with the short stretch. He was able just to get to the lead in this race and kept right on going. He beat a decent enough field. The runner-up came back to finish 2nd with a 92 buyer speed figure in an allowance race. You see Sonneman down inside, and I wonder if maybe he didn't care to be there when finishing 4th.
That could be a valid excuse for Sonneman. That just seems like a horse who never wins races, though. The thing that concerns me most with fact finding, Dan, is just, he is going to be on the lead probably, and maybe he's just a different horse with Diodoro. So it scares me a little bit because he does have a couple of really fast races in his past. He's another horse I didn't necessarily want in here. I want other horses, but I won't be surprised if he runs well again.
And we have a formulator fact for the high percentage Diodoro barn. Last out winners, allowance races, routes, Oaklawn, 31% humongous return on investment. Diodoro high percentage horseman. Fact finding will be a pace factor in this race. I'm a little interested in the 7 Trident Hit. I'm not sure how good he is. I thought he ran well 3 starts back at Churchill Downs, although he did get a very good setup in that race. It seemed like the pace completely fell apart. He swung to the outside, and he really tried hard with that low action. His last 2 races, maybe an excuse, just didn't get that pace set up when the beaten favorite at Remington and caught a wet track last time.
Right. I mean, certainly this race could set up very well for this horse. He's another one who it felt like he had some potential early on. Maybe he hasn't quite delivered on it. So we'll see. I do think he's run well over this track in the past too. He's just another horse that I think he's going to be a good price in here. He should have some pace in front of him in this spot. There are things to like about this horse for sure.
Just when the number 8 Sonneman appears to be reaching his potential, he seems to just take 2 steps back. Early in his career, he won a couple of races, but he was very green in doing so. And then after a 2nd in the Pat Day Mile, he just had his issues getting to the winner's circle. It looked like he was going to run well in the beginning of 2021, maybe with maturity, a graded stakes placing, and he didn't win all season long. Blinkers are on here for Steve Asmussen. Do you think it's more of a situation where they're throwing their hands up and are trying anything to get Sonneman to wake up, or do you think the blinkers will move him up and are needed?
Yeah, I'm going to say it's probably a little bit of desperation here. I don't know, Dan. To me, I'm just not a fan of this horse. I've never thought he was that good. The one thing that, I was sort of interested in last year was when Asmussen finally decided, cut him back and try to go in these 1-turn races and see if that makes any kind of a difference. As it turns out, It didn't make a difference. He was the same old Sonneman at the end of last year. I don't know, man. He's 5-1 on the morning line. I would never bet him at that price.
I think that's the perfect point, because if Sonneman was a little bit of a higher price, I would want to take a chance that maybe he could find the Wayback Machine. 5-1 to me, it sounds a little bit light. Maybe he'll flip-flop with Fact Finding. CATDADDY 15-1 on the morning line, coming off a useful effort at Oaklawn Park, a race we're going to show you right now, but this is against much weaker competition. This is a $25,000 starter allowance. CATDADDY runs fine in here to be second, but he's going to have to do a lot better if he's going to beat this caliber of competition.
Yeah, I mean, he's just found himself in a really, really tough allowance race. I mean, this is almost more like a stakes race, Dan. And, you know, I realize that this horse has been racing in pretty good form lately. I thought he was in way over his head against this group.
Cash Logistics is a nice little Indiana bred, and he just didn't have much of a chance the way the race unfolded last time out at Oaklawn. He was 8-1 against Fact Finding. He didn't break. He rushed up to push Fact Finding, and he paid the price. I wonder, with an alert break, if he can try to push the pace again. I'm just not sure that's the right running style for this race.
Yeah, I don't know if going forward in here and trying to be part of the pace is going to work out for a horse who, you know, listen, he clearly has to improve if he's going to beat a field like this. He came into that last one, you know, excuses or not, Dan, you know, with Fact Finding wiring the field. He came into that race off of 3 straight dirt wins. To me, he just wasn't good enough last time, though, and this race is even tougher.
Warriors Charge the 11 hasn't won a race since the 2020 Razorback, a graded stakes. He was in very good form at that time. He was second in the Stephen Foster last year. I talked to Florent Giroux in the paddock before the Park's Dirt Mile, and he just seemed frustrated. He couldn't figure out why Warriors Charge last year at times wasn't giving him what he gave him in 2020. After he ran third in the Park's Dirt Mile, he gave me a thumbs up. I wonder how he's feeling now. He's had 2 races since. I couldn't find the excuse 2 starts back, and last time he was only okay against some good horses.
Yeah, it's true enough. I mean, you know, the mile and an eighth, I feel like, I guess, could be a valid excuse for the race last time. It might be a little far for this horse. I don't know. I tried him a couple of times last year, and, you know, I was as confused as Brad Cox was. He just didn't seem like he had that many excuses in his races. I think he's a nice fit in this race. I think he can win. Another horse who's going to be a short price, though, and he's going to have to try to go forward from an outside post. I mean, if he wins, that's fine with me. I wanted other horses at better prices.
2 questions. A, is he a need the lead type? And B, does he have that kind of speed anymore where he can clear a field like this from post 11?
Yeah, I think he still has his speed. And I actually do think he's a horse who's at his absolute best when he's on the early lead. So, you know, if he was mine, I'd just be telling Giroux that he has to come out of there running and try to clear in here, whether he has to go fast or not. And I would just take my chances with him that way.
Tough outside post for Digital, is coming into this race in good form. 3 straight on-the-board finishes, including this race, an allowance at Oaklawn Park last month. He got right up close to the pace in this race. He's going to finish a solid second. Pardon me, this is at Remington Park. A good second-place finish, 87 Beyer speed figure. Something tells me that this is a little bit tougher competition than the horses he's been facing. And again, he got no favors handed to him with this post-position draw.
Yeah, I mean, he runs fine in this race, but he doesn't have any excuse. He's just not good enough against a field that's not nearly as strong as this one. The post is an added detriment to his chances. He is going to be a price, though, if you like him.
Let's take a look at our top picks for the Friday race of the day, the 8th at Oaklawn Park. We're both going to go for prices. Trident hit the 7. I'm a little bit concerned that his win, kind of the race I'm hoping he can get back to, he's a little bit dressed up on, because that race did set up for closers and he was coming from the back of it. But I think he's run some races that are good enough to win. He'll be a good price. He'll get a good setup. And you're getting a horse that still has a little bit of upside at a price, ALLEGE for the great Asmussen.
Yeah, I like that horse's form, and I do feel like he's going to be a price in this race. That's why I put him on top. I'm not done with Ollie, my boy, yet, Dan. I'm going to use that horse one more time and hope he catches some pace to run at. But I was taken by ALLEGE's last race. I think there's something there with that horse. I think he can handle the step up.
Friends, if you don't think this race is wide open, just take a look at those picks. 7 of 8 different selections. In the Friday race of the day, we're going to go for prices. Mike likes the 3. I like the 7. Best of luck.